Here's a quick look at some stories we have for you this week.
Round 2 of Salute to Veterans Patients and Valentine for Veterans concert across the nation.
The Board of Veterans' Appeals' third edition of its Veterans Law Review is well received.
And a Japanese-American World War II hero is duly honored in time.
We'll be right back with those stories and more, so stay with us.
Hello, I'm Thomas Middleton with the Office of Diversity and Inclusion.
And I'm Laura Landacre with the VA-DoD Collaboration Service. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The 2011 Salute to Veterans Patients continued in earnest last week with rousing concerts in various venues and salute activities at numerous VA facilities. We begin with a little taste of Little Anthony and the Imperials at a night out for veterans and their friends in Raleigh, North Carolina. At the Beckley VA Medical Center, the Miss USA and Miss Teen USA representatives from West Virginia were among many who came to bring cheer, gifts, and Valentines to veterans. West Virginia's theater touring company performed the Main Street Kids Club at the hospital on Valentine's Day. At the Canandaigua, New York VA Medical Center, employees and volunteers delivered donuts and Valentines throughout the hospital. Veterans in the Wiley P. Chambers VA Outpatient Clinic in Columbus, Ohio, got a real treat as coaches and members of their beloved Ohio State Buckeyes football team, including All-American quarterback Tyrell Pryor, came to visit. And the veteran patients were just as impressed with visits of others, including elementary school children bearing Valentines. At the James J. Peters VA Medical Center in the Bronx, Miss New York, Miss Teen New York, and area school children brought cheer and Valentines to pick up the spirits of veterans. These beauty queens from East and North Texas were among many at the Dallas VA Medical Center to hand out love and Valentines. There were also members of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleading squad and some local clowns to keep it light and fun. Volunteers at the George E. Wayland VA Medical Center in Salt Lake City prepared gift bags for patients, and then they were visited by a number of local celebrities, including Utah Governor Gary Herbert, University of Utah basketball coach Jim Boylan, and members of the Utah Grizzlies professional hockey team. Now back to the concerts. American Idol finalist Matt Gerard joined in festivities at the Battle Creek, Michigan VA Medical Center, visiting with veterans and VA employees and signing autographs. He then put on a whale of a concert at W.K. Kellogg Auditorium. We told you last week about the Valentines for Veterans Platters concert in Atlanta. We received some video and wanted to share a little of their signature sound.
Join me in welcoming the Platters. When you hold my hand, understand the magic that you do. You're my dream come true, my one. And only you, one and only you.
We wish we could show you photos and video from all the facilities that sent us footage. Unfortunately, it's just too much for our time limits. But check out VA's Flickr page to see more. Go to va.gov and click on the Flickr icon.
The Board of Veterans' Appeals' third Veterans Law Review has been published. The highly successful journal has been well received and highly rated by VA attorneys, judges, and those representing veterans. The Veterans Law Review was founded by Board Chairman James P. Terry, whose term on the board expired at the end of February. Matt Tenner is the editor of the Law Review.
The Veterans Law Review is a legal journal. It's focused on policy issues that affect veterans around the country. It's written typically by legal professionals for their use, but it also is used by judges, members of Congress. Anybody who has an interest in veterans law can use the book. Each year we've seen a greater response from people out in the field. This past year, for instance, we've had professors of law that practice across the country come to us and they want to publish in our journal because they've recognized that our journal is a great way to get out their ideas about how to improve the veterans benefit system. Veterans Law Review, from what I've seen, is very beneficial to the veterans community. If they have a particular concern that's of the legal nature, we hope to address it in our publication. We hope to address issues that are somewhat controversial or somewhat unresolved so that legal professionals can offer their viewpoints on how to resolve those issues. The end result is that we, as employees of VA, are trying our best to serve veterans. Advocates that write for veterans are also trying to serve veterans. We all have a common goal, and once we get their work together in print, we think it'll have a good result for the veterans that we serve.
One article written by Board of Veterans Appeals attorney Jeff Parker received much attention. Parker was asked to meet with veterans and their representatives more than once to discuss the article, including some 160 veteran advocates at a Seattle conference.
Well, after I published this article in the first edition of the board's law review, some veterans organizations read it, and they specifically requested that a couple of speakers come and speak on the topics of their articles. And the topic was well received. I received a lot of questions about the VA adjudication process. So I feel like as VA's representative, I was able to be the board's representative for the Veterans Law Review and VA's representative to this organization who represents veterans. And by doing so, I think this reflects a part of the larger dialogue that VA is having with veterans representative organizations, and it shows the transparency of VA to send me to explain the adjudication process to this organization, and also to help these veterans advocates better perform their advocacy to help our veterans.
The third volume of the Law Review is slated for national distribution later this month. There is much more information at the web address on the screen, including guidelines for submitting an article for the fourth volume of the Veterans Law Review, due out early next year.
Asian Americans who fought for the U.S. in World War II earn the respect and admiration of their generation for an unsurpassed combat record.
Our colleagues at the Palo Alto VA Medical Center in California provided us with the bittersweet story of one of these great heroes, who they honored recently to make up for a trip he could not make to Washington, D.C. Here's Alfredo Capps with the story.
Mr. Robert Masami Iso, 92, gallantly served in the Army's historic 442nd Regimental Combat Team, the most decorated unit of its size. He received the Bronze Star and 2 Purple Hearts for his service during World War II. But on February 7, 2011, he received our country's highest civilian commendation, the Congressional Gold Medal. Family, friends, and the VA Palo Alto Healthcare System employees attended the presentation held at the VA Menlo Park Division Community Living Center. Mr. Iso was the second soldier of his 442nd unit to receive the award. The others will receive the medals in August in Washington, D.C. Although Mr. Iso was not able to speak, it was evident that he was aware the ceremony was to honor his military service. One of Iso's fellow veteran residents, Howard Hensley, took a moment to congratulate him and shared his thoughts. The medal itself was not available yet to present to Mr. Iso, but the Japanese American Veterans Association in D.C. was able to get one of the original documents signed by Congress and the President. declaring that members of the 442nd would receive the Congressional Gold Medal. After taking the opportunity to thank the VA for the great care given to his older brother, James Iso, who served in the occupational forces in Japan, continued to talk about how far Japanese Americans have come since World War II, reminding people that today there are 50 Japanese Americans who are of flag rank, generals or admirals. Perhaps one of the most famous is former Army Chief of Staff General Eric Shinseki, who is now the Secretary of the Department of Veteran Affairs. Sadly, just 3 days following the ceremony, Mr. Iso passed away. In a letter written to his wife, Rose Iso, Director Lisa Freeman stated, "I extend my sincere appreciation to you for sharing your husband with the VA. His passing is a tremendous loss for his family, for VA, and for the country he gallantly served."
The March edition of The American Veteran begins airing this week. Here is host Jim Benson to tell us what to expect on the Emmy Award-winning show. Can you share with us what's up on The American Veteran this month, Jim?
Sure. On this month's edition of The American Veteran, we take a look at a sister who's helping her injured brother rebuild his life. VA counselors dedicating themselves to saving the lives of at-risk veterans, healing the body and the mind through the practice of yoga, a home away from home for loved ones caring for injured heroes, and helping veterans suffering from traumatic brain injury relearn daily tasks. That's the lineup. Hope you'll join us.
Thanks, Jim. The American Veteran can be found on the VA homepage. Just click on Media Room, then Video. You can also watch it on VA's Knowledge Network, the Content Distribution Network, and the Pentagon Channel.
Did you know? For the first time, VA and the Department of Housing and Urban Development published the most authoritative analysis of the extent and nature of homelessness among veterans. According to HUD and VA's assessment, nearly 76,000 veterans in more than 3,000 cities were homeless on a given night in 2009, and an estimated 136,000 veterans spent at least one night in a shelter during that year. VA Deputy Secretary W. Scott Gould and HUD Secretary Sean Donovan led volunteers from both agencies on a point-in-time count of the homeless population in Washington, D.C. on one of the winter's coldest nights in late January. It was part of another nationwide count, just like the survey in 2009. Read more about VA efforts to end homelessness among veterans at www.va.gov/homeless. That's all we have for this week's show. Thanks for watching. I'm Thomas Middleton.
And I'm Laura Landacre. Have a great week, everyone.